If a stranger on the phone claimed to be an authority figure and asked you to do something immoral or even illegal, what would you do? 19-year-old waitress Becky's face beamed with an enthusiastic smile. She had just entered the workforce, her heart full of bright hopes for the future. However, the phone call she was about to receive would become the most terrifying nightmare of her life. On the other end of the line, a man claiming to be a police officer spoke in a serious tone, informing manager Sandra that a customer had reported the restaurant for involvement in a major theft case. One of their youngest female waitresses was a prime suspect, and Sandra was told she must assist in the police investigation. Sandra was initially skeptical, asking for his badge number and specific case details, but the caller answered smoothly. He also warned Sandra that failing to cooperate would hinder the entire investigation and potentially implicate the whole restaurant. Under the powerful intimidation of this supposed police authority, Sandra instinctively chose to comply. Following the phone instructions, she brought the innocent waitress Becky into the break room and handed her the phone. Becky naturally refused to admit to this sudden false accusation and did everything she could to explain it wasn't her, but unfortunately the caller gave her no chance to defend herself. He threatened manager Sandra that either the police would detain Becky or she needed to search her right now to check if she was hiding any stolen goods. Sandra looked at Becky's face full of grievance and anger, feeling somewhat reluctant. Following the phone instructions, Sandra brought in her fiancé Kevin to strictly supervise Becky, and the reason given was that a large quantity of contraband had been found at Becky's home, requiring a strong man to watch her and prevent her escape. Up to this point, no one suspected the true identity of the person on the phone. On the contrary, Kevin followed the fake officer's orders obediently, even displaying a strange, outward indifference masking inner zeal. Meanwhile, Becky had collapsed on the floor in breakdown. Under Kevin's demands and the officer's threats, this naive young girl was forced to do things that made even herself feel ashamed. Just as Becky finished all the demanded instructions, Henry, the restaurant's old security guard, heard the commotion and rushed over. Sensing something was wrong, Henry firmly refused all of the caller's perverted demands and told Sandra to call the real local police immediately. Only then did Sandra suddenly realize that the caller was just a fake officer. A few minutes later, real police officers arrived at the restaurant, and the truth finally came to light. The so-called officer turned out to be a con artist who had long exploited people's blind obedience to authority to commit crimes, having perpetrated similar offenses in multiple cities. What's even more thought-provoking is that those who had been manipulated by him were almost all like Becky and Sandra, initially skeptical, but step by step descending into the abyss. Thank you for your attention and likes. This compelling film is called Compliance.